now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. And this code can only be applied to first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but I'm gonna go ahead and create me a quick account and make sure I can go to one of these games that's happening in the NFL season because I gotta go see it live. Anyway, look, so speaking of football games, man, the Jets, they defeated the Texans last night in Thursday Night Football, and they snapped a 5-game losing streak, and it was just an ugly game of football. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish I could tell y'all something different. I wish I could break it down and be like, all right, this is what was great from the New York Jets. This is what was great from the Texans. But I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This was a terrible game. It wasn't very pleasant to watch, especially in the first half. And I wanted to stop watching it after the first quarter. Truth be told, flag after flag. It was just, the play calling on the Jets end was awful. CJ Stroud had no receivers to throw the ball to. It wasn't a pretty game at all. However, I want to break it down just for a sec because there's a few sectors in this game, that are worth talking about, I should say. The New York Jets offense is completely garbage. Aaron Rodgers has been playing like that old uncle who throw the ball once every family get together. This guy's not good. But starting off with the offense, the Jets offense, I think it's just extremely predictable. That's part of the reason why I'm not excited about watching the Jets at all. And regardless of them getting the win, snapping a 5-game losing streak, a lot of people felt like, oh, this is the game. It's finally turning around. It's promising. It's happening. It's going to change. I disagree with all of that, respectfully, just because, this team showed no flow whatsoever. The second half got a little bit better. They finally started connect on passes. You've seen some big plays from Garrett Wilson, who made that cool one-handed catch. Devontae Adams made a couple of catches too. But above all, it's just the play call that is just shaky all around. And I think it trickles down for everybody on that offense, as talented as they are. But watching Aaron Rodgers go to Devontae Adams 3 straight downs, throwing the ball to him 3 straight downs, regardless of what was happening, is just something I cannot stand by. That's unacceptable to me for a quarterback and a receiver. I get you got the duo who's made things happen in the past, but bro, you got Breece Hall back there. You got Garrett Wilson. I know Lazard was out, but you got plenty of weapons. Even your backup running back, Braylon Allen. You got plenty of weapons to make things happen. So for this offense to lack creativity like it does, it's a little painful. I'm not gonna lie. It's painful to watch the Jets, but above all, like I said, they got the win. And I don't think too many more of them are gonna continue to roll in, especially looking ahead and seeing everybody else they gotta play against. They got the Cardinals, and then after that, they kind of get a little rest week against the Colts, but Seattle Seahawks, Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars, Rams, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins again. So, these games here, they've already lost against the bad teams. So I'm doubting they're going to go in and beat some of the elite teams. Granted, they play most of the good teams that they had to already take care of business with, meaning the Vikings and the Bills. But they see the Bills one more time, which is going to be rough. And you just don't know what type of New York Jets offense you're going to get in these type of games. And specifically zoning in on Aaron Rodgers, I got to put a lot of this credit for him because he's changed the organization so much with his moods and the things he's been saying to media. Oh, we don't want the coach. Oh, the guys need to play better. But, bro, at the end of the day, a lot of it is depending on Aaron Rodgers and how good he's going to play. Because throughout this season, you can count on one hand how many times he's had a QBR over 60. And it's not good. They're still losing even if he had a QBR over 60. Like, there's games where, okay, you might look at the stats and you're like, okay, 200 yards, 200 yards, 200 yards. Like, hey, Aaron Rodgers looks like he's doing good. But the things the stats don't show, and what I always talk about when it comes to numbers and, what's going on the stat sheet, is the fact that if you look at the game and you watch the game, not the highlights, if you actually sit there through the full 2 hour and 30 minutes of bad football and watch Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets play, the one thing you will see is him overthrow the ball, overthrow his receivers, and he won't put it there where it needs to be. He's not as quick when evading sacks and getting out the pocket. Granted, the man's 40 years old, so I'm not expecting him to be able to roll out and make these crazy throws on the run. But ultimately, bro, you can't just be sitting in the pocket and be a cone letting the guys come get you, bro. That ain't it. That ain't it. And then when you throw the ball to your guys, you got to make sure you're accurate to them. There's some good throws that we've seen. Of course, some throws is going to always be trending on the internet. And if you watch the highlights, it only looks like there are good throws. But that thing is so deceiving because looking at the game, I seen him at least twice. He overthrew Devontae Adams in the other night. Overthrew Garrett Wilson. There was plenty of passes where it was within, like it would have been a touchdown, would have been a big gain, but the ball just was overthrown slightly. And it happens, but bro, we are in week 9 of the NFL. Come on, man. It can't be happening like that. Can't be happening every single game. I can like cut you some slack if it's once every couple of games, whatever the case is. I can cut you some slack, but bro, nah. We ain't letting that die down. And then quickly too, for the Houston Texans, man, I want to jump on their part because this looks like a completely different team, and not necessarily in a good way from what we've seen last year. Last year, we saw a lot of promise. We saw the consistency rolling toward the end of the season, which very much still may happen. I mean, the Texans aren't bad right now at all. Although they lost, they're still 6-3, first in the AFC South. So this team still has a lot that they're working with right now. However, we've seen a lot of inconsistency within this offense. Granted, the Texans, they have some injuries going on that is obviously hindering them because multiple O-linemen is down. All of the receiver options are just done. So that's going to be a lot more difficult to make the adjustment. So I understand it. I want to cut the Houston Texans some slack, but also this was a team that had a lot of high hopes coming into this year. And again, won 6 games so far, been taking care of business when they need to, but there's still some things that needs to be fixed. One of the things that needs to be fixed, I noticed immediately, got to go to the quarterback play. Quarterback play, CJ Stroud, he hasn't been as consistent as he once was last year in the late half of the season. And one of my theories I have with quarterbacks who are young, early on, obviously it takes time to develop, but he's still figuring it out. Usually when rookies have these incredible first years, people are like, oh, they got to figure it out. He's elite. He's gonna be great in the league. He already got it figured out. He's a rookie and he already killed the league the first season, so he's got it. That's not always the case. Because the more you play in the NFL, the more they're going to have film, the more they're going to be able to figure out your tendencies, the more they're going to be able to scheme and send different pass rushes and all kind of things at you to slow you down. And that's what I've kind of been noticing with CJ Stroud. Because yes, he's been playing good, but also CJ Stroud hasn't been at that MVP level that we once seen him in last year. He's not there so far. Even looking at his numbers, yesterday he had a QBR of 27, correct. He had a QBR of 27 and multiple games where he's had a QBR of 20, but like that just shows the rhythm, the skill, and all of that. Some things are just not clicking on that offense. And granted, it's hard when you have multiple linemen out because it's different. When you got wide receivers who are missing games and stuff, you can kind of find something to help you out and adjust a little bit. Maybe some guy is going to step up when you got wide receivers there. But when you got linemen, that's hard to replace because linemen, they're going to help you run game. They're going to help you pass protections. They're going to help you on a play action. Like it's tough losing linemen. So for the Texans, still in pretty good shape right now. And they can definitely make some things happen still, but just one of the things I seen was the inconsistency. I love that the run game is still staying strong, regardless of being down multiple linemen and being down wide receivers. That run game is clicking on all cylinders, and I think the Texans got to lay on that as much as they can because, man, the run game is saving them right now. Kept them in the game all game against the New York Jets, and I think you could say that same thing in multiple areas in multiple weeks so far in this first half of the season. Defense been a little shaky back and forth, but got some linebackers down, got some defensive linemen that's down as well. So, it's tough, but they're figuring it out, and I'm gonna leave y'all with this too, because we got some voicemail callers coming up. So I'm gonna jump into those. We're gonna take a quick break. Don't miss the voicemail line. So let me go ahead and give some context about the voicemail call. So last week, or earlier this week, actually, that's how soon it was. Earlier this week, I was talking about the Lions. I'm like, hey man, Lions be putting belt to ass. They've been killing everybody, and they're about to become a hated team in the NFL because of the way they've been doing people. Slap up 47 on the Cowboys, 52 on the Tennessee Titans, 40-something on the Seahawks. Like, they've been killing it. Broke it up into a clip, posting on social media. They got a hold of it, whatever. Some people had to comment on my comments on that. So let's do it. We got the voicemail calls in just a sec. We'll be right back.